Hey guys, it's me Bert and welcome back to my channel. So for today, we are doing Beauty and the Basics. One of my subscribers said she was just getting into makeup and really wanted to know about basics, about brushes, what products. So I really focused on buying drugstore items and things that I thought might be more readily available to you guys. And basically showed you what I would use and how I would apply a very basic, simple face. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with part one. So to start out with part one, which is the basic face. So it's foundation, concealer, blush. Okay, to start out with, we're gonna start with a primer. My favorite over-the-counter primer right now is the Maybelline Master Prime. This is the one that is for blur and smooth, which means it's intended for oily or skin with large pores. I'm just going to take some and put it on my finger. Now this is a silicone-free one, so if avoiding silicone is a preference for you, this might be a good option. Okay, so for foundation, these are my two personal favorite drugstore foundations, and I do actually use them quite a bit. The first one, if we can get it, is the Loreal Matte Infallible, Pro Matte Infallible. This one has quite a long wear, and it is quite matte, and it is quite full coverage. And the other one is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. Again, it has a matte finish, but it's not as heavy in the coverage, not as full coverage. So what that means is it's a little lighter, so your actual skin will shine through a little bit more. So depending on what's important to you, depending on what you want, then in turn you can go with either of these. Another very good over-the-counter foundation is the Loreal True Match, and that comes in a million different colors. So if finding your particular color is a concern, the Loreal one does not have a lot of color options. This one is pretty okay, but the Loreal True Match is definitely got the most broadest color selection as far as foundations, but it is not a matte finish, meaning that it's going to give you a little more glowy, more shiny, more dewy of a finish. So I am naturally oily, so I already create my own shine. I don't need any help. So for me, I prefer a matte finish foundation, so I prefer one of these too. And for foundation brush, what we're going to use is this brush by, and that looks funny sitting on my nose. Woo. Anyways, we're going to use this brush by Real Techniques. This is a, what do they call this brush? Expert face brush. So you can see it's got a domed finish, but it's quite dense, quite full. So it'll really help buff the foundation into your skin, which is what you're doing anyways. Another great option for applying your foundation is a beauty blender type device. This one again is also by Real Techniques, and this is their beauty sponge, I think they call it. Anyways, again, this is a great way to apply your foundation and will really help you give you a flawless airbrushed finish to your face. I prefer a brush. It's just what I like. That's what I'm going to go ahead and use today, and we're going to go ahead and apply our foundation. Now you guys have seen me do this in many other videos, and I'm really not going to do it any different than I have before. I've just got some foundation on my brush, and I'm going to dot it a little bit, and then essentially I'm going to start buffing it in. What that means is you're going in small circular motion. So to talk a little bit about the brush, the Real Technique brushes are available in drugstores. I think I've seen them in my Walgreens. They're definitely available in the local Ulta in the drugstore section. But these are a great value for the money. They're not very expensive, but I've had this brush in particular for I think like 3 or 4 years now. So it's held up amazingly well. So it's not like a $2 brush. I think it was like a $12 brush, but for the money and what it does, it is a fabulous brush. And being that it's available in drugstore, that's another awesome thing. So this is what I would recommend for our beginners. So moving on to concealer, there are two that I really like from the drugstore. The first one is the Maybelline Fit Me Concealers. I have 2 shades here, as well as the Maybelline Master Concealer. And again, I have 2 different shades here, light and medium light. Apparently, I really like Maybelline products, but I've actually found them to be generally really good. The Master Conceal products are thicker, so a little bit goes a very long way. Whereas these are a little bit thinner, but you can definitely layer them. So for me, I like applying them with my beauty blender. To give you a little bit of idea about these, there's a real sponge called a beauty blender. This is what it looks like. And this is in its deflated state. This particular sponge is antimicrobial, antibacterial, does a lot of really great things. It's kind of like a foam rubbery feeling, neoprene feeling. And what you do is you moisten it, you dampen it, and you use it in its damp state. This one has been moistened, and as you can see, it's not like there's water dripping out, it is just damp. And it gets much larger when it's damp. But it doesn't work right when it's dry, so don't try and use it dry. You're going to be disappointed. This particular sponge, this beauty blender sponge, is $20. This one is like $6. So, and this does the same job. It's not quite as thin and pointy, but this side, the flat side, does exactly what you need it to do, that you would use the pointy side here. So again, this is antimicrobial, antibacterial, made of the same basic material. I think this is a little more dense, but ultimately doing exactly the same job in exactly the same manner. And for $6, that's a win in my book. For concealer, I am going to use actually both of these shades. I like the way that both shades look once they're applied. This has a doe foot applicator, and I'm just gonna essentially put it here under my eye, and I'm kind of making roughly a triangle shape. So you can see it's triangle shaped like that. And then right on top, before this is even dried, I'm gonna apply a little bit of the lighter one just to kind of help brighten everything up. So then I'm gonna take my sponge, and I am gonna work with the pointed end, and basically I am just dabbing it, pouncing it up and down. This will help pick up the excess as well as blend it together. And if you want to get real close to the eye, the flat side will really help you do that. Okay, so I want a little bit more. I'm going to go into the light one, and I'm just going to build it right here where I want a little more coverage. Give it a second to kind of dry. and basically doing exactly the same thing. It's better, but eh. Okay, now if you have under eye circles like I do, what you're gonna need to do next is actually set it. This will help keep the concealer exactly where you put it, so it won't move and it won't go anywhere, and your concealer will stay all day and it won't be climbing down your face. So again, this is a Real Techniques brush, and this is their setting brush. See, it's a flat, fluffy, dual fiber brush, and I'm going to Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless powder that goes with the foundation. I used the Loreal foundation, but I like this powder better. So I'm just taking the brush and I'm going to swirl it around on it, getting kind of a lot of product. And now I'm just patting it where I put all that concealer. And that's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a minute and do my other eye, and we'll be right back. Now, for the rest of the face, I actually do like to set it. Again, because my face is oily, it tends to slide around a little bit. So I'm using the Real Techniques blush brush. I believe they also have a larger powder brush, but I liked the shape of this one. And I'm just swirling that around in the powder, and then I'm just gonna essentially brush it all over my face. Okay, and for the last bit of our face, we're gonna go ahead and apply some blush. The only other thing I would recommend on a super basic face is doing the eyebrows. I've saved that for my eye video, so you'll see that in the next one coming up. But this I felt was a basic face item. For today, I'm going to use a Milani brush. This is one of their rose blushes. This is the shade Romantic Rose. I liked it because it was kind of a real pale, dusty, neutrally pink, but they make great blush products. They're good pigmented, they go on well, they stay well. Highly recommended as a drugstore brand. For a brush, I just have a really big fluffy brush. This is not a drugstore brand, but they're available in the drugstore all over the place. Again, I even think Real Techniques makes a big fluffy brush, or even this brush, the blush brush, would be a great option. But this is what I have, this is what I'm using. You get the point. So, for me, I'm going to aim towards the apples of my cheeks and kind of go work backwards. Okay, so that is our face basics. Again, we'll have another video coming up that's about our eyes. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for this part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned something out of this. So stay tuned for the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, give me that thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Bye.